of the Recreation and Parks Commission. Pledge of Allegiance. Dave, would you lead us tonight, please?
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dave. Monse, roll call, please.
Commissioner Kelly Watson.
Present.
Commissioner Julie Stolak.
Present.
Commissioner Dave Liu.
Present.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis.
Present.
And Chairperson Bob Moda.
I am here. Thank you. Rolling right along, presentations. The Rec-Star Academy, and that's Aracia and Rachel.
Yes, Bob, I apologize. Oh, there's Rachel. Where's
She's
Rachel?
there, I see her.
Hello, yes, we are ready. So good evening, commissioners. Thank you for this time to be able to, sorry, my other speaker is on, so I have an echo. To be able to introduce the Rec-Star Academy to you this evening. It's a very exciting time for us. It's actually, for me, been about 3 years in the making, and I haven't had the opportunity to basically bring it forward. So I started this process with Darren Yule when he used to work here, and he's now gone on to work with another city. And now Rachel has helped me close the door. So I'm so excited and to have this program, and we're now ready to roll it out. We actually did our introduction last Wednesday, I believe, and they seem very, very excited to get to it. So we developed this program, I should start there, for the young people coming into the recreation profession. We felt that at times when they were competing for higher jobs or trying to move up into higher positions, they did not have some of the skill set that we would have liked them to have at the time, or they weren't as competitive as some of the outside talent coming in. So we felt like, well, maybe this is a good time to start exposing them to some of the soft skills and some professional development along the way to help them be more competitive. So there's actually different series, and I will let Rachel go ahead and hop in. And we have different sessions. So we have about 8 sessions. The first is formal. It's informational. And we go through different sessions, teaching them about All About You. All About You is a session mainly about taking care of yourself, being able to have some balance between work-life balance and knowing how to take time for yourself and think things through, especially when things get stressful. We deal with Pro Tools, which teaches them about email etiquette, how to use the phone, how to answer the phone, how to call someone if you need information. Emotional intelligence, which we all feel it's a very important aspect of being employed. So we talk about how to meet people where they are. We actually try to get them to get into groups and actually talk to each other and find out where someone is from or where they're at, and try to understand their background so they can work with them in a better way, for lack of a better term. It's all about presentation, baby. That's just showing them how to present when they go to interviews. Maybe they have to give a presentation. So we want to teach them the specifics of how to do that. Cultural competency and diversity, that's a big thing today. So we want to make sure they're comfortable in the workplace and they're able to bring their whole self to work and feel comfortable with who they are and be able to express themselves in whatever way, as long as it's respectful and professional. Communication. Communication, I always say to the group, communicate, communicate, communicate. You cannot communicate enough. once those lines of communication fall down, it really doesn't make for a good team or a good workspace. So we're talking about how to communicate properly and how to be thorough with your communication. And last but definitely not least, a lot of our young people, they're very interested in becoming an El Segundo recreation professional. So we want to show them how to get there, introduce them to some different groups. Maybe they're interested in CPRS, MMASC, NRPA. Those are different recreation groups and professional development groups. We can get them involved and get them to network with different people out there. So we're trying to give them all of the information to feel comfortable at work and comfortable with going out there and competing for a job if they were very interested. As you can see, the schedule takes place one Wednesday per month. It's the second Wednesday per month. It starts at 4:30. Rachel and I run the sessions. We're even thinking about having guest speakers come in and talk about the profession overall. And all levels are welcome. We even welcome the full-time. If they want to come in and get a little bit, they can too. So that's it for this page. Next slide. Rachel, if you'd like to take the next page.
Yes, hi everybody, this is Rachel Cummings speaking. So this next slide is about the expectations, our expectations that we have for the staff that will be partaking in this training. So we have consistent attendance, so we will be tracking their attendance to these trainings, which we'll talk about a little bit later for a big reason why, but so yes, a consistent attendance. However, we understand that it's an 8-month commitment. So obviously there could be things that pop up. So we really just want to encourage people to be there. So participation individually and in group work, willingness to learn and improve, to be coachable. So this is a big one here. And ask questions and to be open-minded and respectful. So we hope to create a space where people are comfortable asking questions and are always respectful to receive information from not only ourselves, but the peers who are in the sessions as well. And then also to complete required assignments. Some of the sessions may require the participants to come prepared with something to either present or to discuss in an exercise. So that would also be part of our expectations. And then here at the bottom is just a quote, success does not come to you, you go to it, from Marva Collins. So that's just a little bit about what we hope for the participants on our end, what they bring to the table for us. Next slide.
Thank you, and I'll take this slide. We just want to share with you some of their advantages or what they can get out of this. They can add this to their resume. The supervisors and the other leadership team, they will recognize their efforts. And so when we have a job opening and they put on their resume, hey, I went through the Rec Star Academy, we think, oh, wow, they probably learned some things, and we want to actually give credit for that. Professional and personal growth. It's not just professional, it's personal too. They'll do a lot of story sharing and telling, and we hope through that process they learn about us, they learn about one another, and they grow through those experiences. Networking, as I said before, CPRS, in our NRPA, and other groups, we're hoping to introduce them to some professionals and hopefully have someone come in and speak with them, have guest speakers. I'm like, Rachel, is there something going on your screen?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. And then, of course, recognition. Once they complete some of the program, we'd like to bring them in front of commission and show and be able to show them, hey, you're being recognized for something great. So we would like to do that maybe one night at commission and even at council as well. Next slide.
Okay, so this slide here is about the recognition and reward system part of this training. So this kind of goes into the attendance, as I had mentioned earlier. So we will be awarding certificates for each session that is completed. to also encourage attendance to as many as possible. Those who attend 3 sessions will receive some sort of special gifts from us. So those who attend 6 sessions will receive a special staff shirt or distinguished uniform piece of some sort. And then for the completion of the entire series, we want to give a special distinction at some sort of event or some sort of meeting in the future, kind of to be determined once we get a little bit closer. But that would be the grand prize, I suppose, for completing everything.
Next slide. Do you have any questions? That's basically the basics of the Rec Star Academy. But if you have any questions, Rachel and I are more than willing to answer.
Anybody? I can't see any hand.
Aricia?
Lee.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, Aricia, how many sessions are there? And are they going to be paid sessions or is this all voluntary?
This is actually something that they can volunteer to do. So we did offer it as on a voluntary basis. So we had young people step up anyway because they wanted the experience.
Perfect. And how many sessions before they complete it?
8.
8 total of 8. Perfect. Thank you. Sounds great.
Very welcome.
Seeing no others, Garcia. I'm sorry, Julie, go
Hi,
ahead.
Julie.
So I think it looks like a really good program. When I heard the part about phone skills, that piqued my interest because that is desperately needed right now. I know it in my office a couple of times I've heard, people answer the phone of, hey dude, and that's awesome. And like working in a doctor's office and booking appointments, and the phone skills are really lacking these days. So I think that's a good thing. And I think just the whole outline that you have for the program is something that's, and it's mainly going to be, the young people can use these days. So I'm glad that you put the time and effort into this and that Rachel was able to help you and get it completed. So I think it'll be a good program.
Thank you.
Okay, Garcia, Rachel, great job. This sounds like it's going to be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is the El Segundo Police Department Community Engagement. And tonight we have Chief Bermudez is here tonight with us. And thank you for being here. And Sergeant Levitt will be doing the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaime Bermudez. I'm the police chief for the police department. And thank you, Director McCollum, for the invitation to the meeting. Director McCollum reached out to me about a week ago regarding some questions that she was having from commissioners about homeless people in the park. And I thought it was a great opportunity for us to introduce the commissioners to our community engagement division. And on top of that, also the new sergeant on the team, Alex Levitt, who was recently promoted and did some time in patrol, and now he's in charge of the community engagement team. So a little bit about the community engagement team. So it's Sergeant Levitt, who supervises our school resource officers. And we have 2 school resource officers, one assigned to the El Segundo High School and one assigned to Da Vinci High School. He's also in charge of our 2 community liaison officers. And those 2 officers, all they do is deal with quality of life issues such as homelessness, neighbor disputes, issues with, whatever it might arise. I mean, sometimes people complain about their neighbor, loud noises, or parties on the weekends. Anything that has a little bit more involvement than just a patrol call on a regular call, the community engagement division will get involved and will try to provide a long-term solution to the problem. In this case, I think the issue was related to homelessness in the parks. And I thought these guys do so much to deal with our homeless problem in the city that I thought it was a great opportunity for him to come in, talk about what they do, what the goals of the program are, and then also if there's any questions, either him or we can try to answer them. On top of that, I know it's on our website, but a lot of people don't know about it. A couple years ago, we started an area commander program. And so that was really specifically to address issues related to people calling the police department to deal with a problem and not getting stuck in literally no man's land when trying to deal with a problem. So you can talk to somebody that can make a decision and has available resources to deal with whatever issue you might have in the city. A lot of cities don't have that. You call the watch commander, you call dispatch, you get a patrol officer, and he'll go out there, but then he's got another call to go to, and you're probably not going to get more than a couple minutes. The area commander program, you reach out to a lieutenant who is in charge of your area. So we have 2 lieutenants, we call them watch commanders. One is specifically assigned to the west side of the city, which is everything west of Pacific Coast Highway. And then we have another lieutenant who is in charge of everything east of Pacific Coast Highway, our business community. The problems are very different. Sometimes they're the same with transients, but primarily they're different. And so each one of them will try to go to neighborhood watch meetings. He'll try to go to meetings like this to really talk about the resources available to deal with some of these issues. Anyway, I will introduce Alex Levitt. So Alex Levitt started with us. I think you were a cadet, right, Alex?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he was a cadet, started with us while attending college, and became a police officer. You guys probably saw him driving around with his canine. Was a canine for many years, and then recently got promoted to sergeant. And now he's in charge of our community engagement division. So Alex, it's all yours, and we'll be here to answer any questions after the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen of the commission, it's really a pleasure to be able to speak with you today about this issue. Director McCollum, thank you very much for the invitation. Always happy to come and speak, whether it's homelessness or anything related to the police department, anything we can do to help out our community. I'm happy to do it. Let's see, I'm going to attempt to share my screen here so everyone can see his presentation. Did that go through?
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, so we are going to address homelessness in El Segundo. So the question obviously is always, how big is the problem? Currently, best estimates county-wide is about 60,000 people experiencing homelessness in LA County. This number appears to be increasing each year, unfortunately. And this number is based on the homeless census that's conducted by Los Angeles County. So obviously, the question is, what is a homeless census? How do we get this number? So the homeless, we do this through a process called homeless counts. So this is based on the homeless count conducted on October 21st, 2021. There are 14 people experiencing homeless in El Segundo. Now, some very important distinction to make as far as homelessness goes, the homeless count specifically, is how LA County counts and how El Segundo counts. LA County, they have certain ways to do their methodology of how they count the homeless. One thing they might do, and certain limitations they have, because they use a lot of volunteers, not like sworn police officers. So I think part of their thought process, they don't want to put like their volunteers, in danger while they're trying to do the homeless counts when we conduct these censuses. One of the things we run into is if they go to like an encampment, they may make an estimation without actually contacting people and say like, hey, there's, we think that there's 3 to 4 people, in this encampment, without actually contacting anyone. They may go to an RV that's parked, and they may say, hey, there's 1.7 to 3, homeless people. What we do, we actually go face to face and we talk to homeless. So we make direct contact with them for a couple reasons. One, because we want to be able to offer services to them. We want to be able to get them off the street, offer them resources. 2, we do want to make sure that they actually are homeless that are living in El Segundo, because we don't want to have a count that's inaccurate. And also, we want to be able to make that one-on-one connection with them, because there's going to be some themes that keep coming up about this presentation. One of which is that we really are like our community lead officers, many of our patrol, but our community lead officers specifically are on like a first name basis with a lot of these people who are homeless in town. When I first got to the unit a couple weeks ago, I would ask our community lead officers, hey, what about this guy, on the bus bench at Douglas and Maple? They say, oh yeah, we know his name, my first name, like here's his deal, he's waiting for resources, all that kind of stuff. And I have yet to ask about a certain homeless person in town that they don't already know and have already contacted. So yeah, that's one of the things that we emphasize as far as the El Segundo homeless camp, that we will actually want to make contact, make face-to-face contact with the homeless in town. So yeah, we can connect with them, build that relationship of trust with them, and then to make sure that again we are doing an accurate count. So we are constantly monitoring and contacting transients. We do this on a regular basis. Just today, again, some of these points I'm going to reiterate, but just today we started our shift early because there's some issues that were brought up to us about the homeless staying in Rec Park. So what we did, we got into work early. We got in at about 5 a.m. and did a foot beat of Rec Park. We walked throughout the whole park in between the tennis courts and the skating rink and the baseball fields to try to identify anyone that might be sleeping there. So one, we could offer them resources, which is our primary goal. The next is to, there are park hours, municipal codes that we can enforce as far as, someone staying in Rec Park after 10 o'clock and an hour before sunrise. So that's something that we can advise them on and make sure that we can make contact and appropriately handle that situation. So we started our day off like that, and then they partner with, it's called LASA, basically LA County's homeless kind of resource team. They go every Wednesday, they go contact a bunch of different transients. So they went down to the beach today, because we had a couple of reports of some tents on the beach, which we'll talk a little more about later. But we had contacted 2 individuals yesterday. One of which said they wanted to accept resources. The other one we kind of asked kind of what his long-term plan was, and then we went out today and tried to make contact with them. And both of them weren't on the beach anymore. They'd taken their tents down. They actually contacted one of the individuals near one of our banks on Grand and Main, Grand and Main earlier, and make sure that they knew, hey, we know we're trying to get you some help, get you some resources. One of the issues we have is other transients or homeless being pushed out, being displaced by other areas. Like recently, Inglewood had an encampment about 70 individuals that they ended up going in and clearing out. I believe it was on a freeway embankment or nearby, and they displaced about 70 homeless people. So obviously, that's one of the just kind of goes to the I guess the scope of the problem. 60,000 is a big number, and it's a big county, but kind of conceptualize some of that. We say like there's one encampment several miles from us where 70 people were displaced and have gone through to surrounding cities. So a big question is, what is El Segundo PD doing? So obviously we have established with our community lead officers, and some they probably spend the majority of their time on doing. It's a homeless outreach program, obviously through the community engagement division. So we have 2 community lead officers and a sergeant, which would be myself. Again, we monitor the homeless population in the city. We provide resources when able, and resources can be a bunch of different stuff. Sometimes it's as simple as I want to get back to my family. If it's close by, we can facilitate that transportation. If they want to get shelters, we have shelters for a bunch of different types of individuals depending on what they're looking for. We also partner again with the county, and if they have like certain criteria, they can apply and get a voucher for Section 8 housing, so they can actually get like an apartment, and they can kind of go through there. So there's a variety of stuff that we can do, and then we definitely provide those resources when we can. So again, we act as a liaison between the homeless outreach organizations and those who need help. I mean, we have homeless outreach programs that are county run, county funded. We have nonprofit groups, churches, other nonprofits out there that really want to help us. So we definitely establish those relationships, not only within the city of El Segundo, but then the greater Los Angeles area and those communities, just so we can just try and have the most options available for people who need help. Partner with LASA every Wednesday. I kind of mentioned that before, where we have a representative from LA County homeless outreach come with us, who can, again, even give them more resources. And we'll, our community lead officers will drive around in the car and try and talk to the homeless we have in town, see if they can get some resources and some help. Let's see, proactively attempt to locate shelters and those of need and provide transportation. It's not like something where we say, hey, guess what, there's a shelter in Downey, like, good luck getting there. No, like, we really want to take the effort and help these people and give them even, transportation to the shelters. That we transport people to shelters. We've done that, many times. And we definitely, we don't just want to, give partial solutions. We really want to try and follow through to give them the help they need. So we partner with the DMH, Department of Mental Health clinicians, to respond to individuals during a mental health crisis. So this is a really great program. We call it the Metcar Mental Evaluation Team. So the lady who works with us, she's from the LA County Department of Health. She's great. Her name's Nicole. She's a mental health clinician. So what she does is every Thursday, she rides along with one of our community lead officers. She goes and she responds to any calls with someone experiencing mental illness. That could be anything from suicidal to somebody who's running through the middle of the street. So that's a great program for the citizens and the people who work in town. So we respond to a lot of calls like that. But a lot of times the people that we are experiencing mental health issues and needing to get that type of help, a lot of them are homeless as well. So she'll go out, she'll talk to them, she'll figure out if they need to go to the hospital and be placed on a 72-hour hold because they're a danger to themselves or others or gravely disabled. She'll have the best way to, the best hospital to go take them to get any medical treatment that they need. The benefit of having a program like this, like I said, it's every Thursday. However, she'll go and work Monday through Thursday in different cities. So if she's working in Manhattan, and we need that. There's a lot of like mutual aid, which means she'll respond, from that city. If she's working in Manhattan on like a Monday and we call her out, then if you're available, they'll just come over and assist us. So they're usually all over the South Bay, which is really beneficial. Let's see, host grant. So we have that now until July 2022. So it's a grant funded detail that sends out additional officers to contact homeless with an emphasis on offering resources. And we'll get into a little bit more about some of it kind of goes to one of the barriers of officers offering resources. One of those things is a lot of times we'll go out and we'll offer people help and they just won't want help, right? And it's obvious we're not going to force them. We're not going to violate their rights by making them get help. It's something they have to want. But by contacting multiple times, we kind of build that relationship of trust between us and them. And a lot of times, you ask, talk to someone, say, hey, you want help? And they say no. We say, okay, that's fine. That's your right. And we go away. But, sometimes it really is like that 10th, 20th, or 30th time that we offer, maybe we catch them, just at the right time where they're kind of feeling like, hey, I don't want to be on the streets anymore. And if I say, okay, we'll accept help and we're there to give it to them. So this host grant basically is every week, at least once a week, we have 2 officers out for 4 hours through various times a day, days of the week, to go out. And our focus is not on criminal enforcement, although obviously, of course, if a crime occurs, we'll deal with that and take care of that. However, their real focus is on getting help, offering resources, and trying to go, offer some longer term solutions. So you attend the regional meetings regarding homeless. We don't operate in a vacuum. We work with all of our neighboring cities to learn best practices and see how we can help work with each other and see, figure out what works, what new shelters are opening, what new resources are available. So we really do partner not only with our community here, but the other law enforcement agencies around us. Let's see. So again, some of this might be a little redundant, but our community lead officers contact homeless weekends and after hours to maintain consistent contact with people. Again, today we came in at 5 in the morning today to enforce park hours, but really because of the issue that was brought to our attention about homeless sleeping in the park. We didn't find anyone, but we have plans in the upcoming months to go and target specifically Rec Park and the beach, and of course, if anything that may come up. So all I have to say, we really are trying to take a proactive response. We don't just want to react and respond to patrol calls, which of course we do on a regular basis all the time, which is fine, but we don't want to only be limited to a reactive response, but we really want to be proactive and see how we can really kind of think outside the box and be creative with an emphasis on getting them help, but also then meeting the needs of our community. Some of the hurdles that we come across, of course, this is not an exhaustive list, but kind of some of the main ones. It's a challenging environment with the county DA in getting criminal cases filed related to non-violent homeless crimes and misdemeanor violations. It's just, I'll kind of let that speak for itself. That's not going to deter us from helping our community, doing whatever we need. And what kind of happens after that is kind of out of our hands. But again, I just want to emphasize that it's not going to deter us from doing what we think is right, and just doing what we think is right for our community as well as the people that we contact. Some individuals experiencing homelessness refuse any services offered. Again, I mentioned this a little bit before. You can't force someone to get help, with the exception of if they're a danger to themselves or others are gravely disabled, we can place them on psychiatric hold. Most of our contacts don't involve that sort of resolution, but that's why we just continually offer those resources for them. And obviously, we need to balance our role of policing versus services. It's just kind of a big thing that we think in regards to policing today. It's yes, we do have a duty to enforce law, and we're not going to shy away from that. But we think is it beneficial to enforce the law in the situation if we need to? Absolutely, that's no problem. But we're thinking long-term solutions, we kind of like a service-oriented mindset. And that has, I think, is the greatest way of kind of addressing the problem in a long-term way. So relationship-based, offering resources are not accepted overnight. Sometimes they are, and that's great. And we're very happy with those times. And most of the time, it's not. Many times it takes an established relationship of trust before services are accepted, and it can take weeks or months. I've even on patrol contacted someone many times, and they've refused services. All of a sudden, that one time, maybe we catch them at the right moment where they finally say, "Hey, I want to accept and get some resources," and we're able to find them a shelter or something like that. So we just that's something that we're very diligent and patient with, but it's definitely worth the wait if we can kind of get them to the point where they really want to accept some treatment, some help. And that's the benefit of having full-time community lead officers, is that they truly are on a first-name basis with almost every single homeless person in the cities, especially homeless people that aren't just like passing through towns. Obviously, sometimes we'll have people just visiting or passing through, but especially the people who are staying here long-term. We know their names. We'll have all their contact information, phone numbers to be able to call. We've been receiving some calls about a gentleman who's sleeping in his car in the eucalyptus area. Our community lead officers went out today to try and contact him, couldn't find him, but because we've had prior contact, they called him on the phone. He didn't answer, but again, it kind of goes back to the emphasis on building the relationships with the homeless we have in town. Some case law regarding homelessness. Martin versus City of Boise is an important one. Basically, the courts have kind of made a transition from the idea that homelessness is more of like a really approach like a service-oriented kind of approach in offering services, which is something that we really do focus on, and it's good. So they said people experiencing homelessness will not be cited or arrested for sleeping outdoors when no shelter is available, which is why we really do focus on having those resources available so we can have shelters that are open and give them options that they need to go to. Let's see, Jones versus City of LA. Eighth Amendment prohibits city from punishing involuntary sitting, lying, or sleeping on public sidewalks as an unavoidable consequence of being human and homeless without shelter in the city. Garcia versus City of Los Angeles, the immediate removal of bulky items in public violates the 4th and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. And we have an easy remedy for that. We have to place a notice on any property that we think that is abandoned, and 24 hours later we come back and we take it. We don't destroy it. We take it in a secure location. So if they were to come and claim it, we'll be able to get that property back to them. So I mean, we have these case laws come out. We're a profession that really has to kind of adapt to different policies and trends and case law. That's something that we obviously take into consideration. And make sure that we're doing everything, legally within the policy. It's a big focus that we have as a department. Long versus City of Seattle, court review the constitutionality of towns and impounds of vehicle homes without any consideration for the fact that people live in them. Again, this is a pending decision, so sometimes these things take a while to adjudicate in the courts, but it is something that we pay attention to. And then obviously, like I said, if there's a change, then we adapt to that change to make sure that we are policing in the most ethical way possible. And then Investor Train versus City of Los Angeles, sleeping in the vehicle municipal code was too vague and violated the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. That's why we do have a municipal code for sleeping in vehicle, and we make sure that it is it's not vague, that it's specific. So it's something that our city attorney has reviewed and make sure that we again are not violating any case law. So we are definitely aware of these cases that are coming out, and we adjust accordingly. Our end goal, obviously, we want to impact homeless in El Segundo. Oops. Sorry about that. Want to impact homelessness in El Segundo. We want to provide any and all services requested by individuals experiencing homelessness. We want to encourage individuals experiencing homelessness to seek out housing and by providing multiple options for housing and resources. Implement diversion practices such as high visibility patrol that discourages individuals from committing criminal acts. Respond quickly to all calls for service related to homeless individuals. Obviously, we want to respond to any call for service. Obviously, as we're talking about the homeless, so this is no exception. And again, why does it get bad in other cities, like proactive versus reactive? If we're made aware of a homeless person staying in town, we don't want to wait days, weeks, months to really kind of make contact with that person. We really don't want to wait for a call of service related to them. We really want to identify them on our own to be able to go and provide those resources again, build that relationship of trust. It's really we're on a first name basis with them, but they're on a first name basis with us too. Sometimes, patrol officer stops someone's like, hey, I want to talk to Officer Kushner or Officer Fix, our community lead officer. So they know who to ask for. We have people showing up in the lobbies. Yeah, I want to get a shelter. I want some homeless resources. Let me talk to Officer Kushner. So we know them, they know us, and it's that relationship where really is working as the patrol watch sergeant. Many times someone comes in the lobby says, hey, I'm homeless, I want some resources. And the only reason that happens is because we built that trust with them before, and they know where to come to. So obviously, we are very, very, very focused on being proactive. Really want to emphasize, and I can't emphasize this enough, please call us anytime, 24/7. All my contact information is going to be this slide, at the end of the slide. Make sure you'll all have it. But one of the things, just whether it's homelessness or not, and this goes beyond just the homeless issue, but anything in the community, we really encourage, hey, if you think there's an issue, call the police. We're here to help. We're here to solve problems big or small. One of the things that's kind of sad to me is people are like, oh, I would have called the police, but I thought you guys were too busy. It's like, no, just give us a call. If we're dealing with a life or death emergency, we'll deal with that. But 99.9% of the time we're not dealing with that. So please just give us a call, and you are not bothering us. You are not inconveniencing us at all. Please just call, and we'll send officers. We'll do whatever we can. I always think of this job as we're professional problem solvers. Like any problem you have, we want to be able to deal with and solve. So please call us anytime. And really do, as a department, we focus on the level of service to our community, and then doing that with a high degree of professionalism. So those are two things that are very very important to our chief. Is important to me, and it's really something that we really push through our entire organization. So please call. So what's in the works right now? So we're working on a partnership.
No,
I'm sorry, sir.
No, I don't mean to interrupt. Can we just put the finishing to give people time to ask questions, and then I don't know how much time we had, but I'd like for anybody to have questions to provide them time to do that too.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry about that if I was a little long-winded. Are there any questions so far?
I think just one
Julie,
more
go ahead.
and we'll head over.
Alex, I was the one that kind of instigated this. I sent a email to Melissa asking about what part of the meeting I could ask about homelessness in town. And then she reached out to the PD to do this presentation. So I have noticed probably three to five times with some new homeless sleeping in a couple of the parks in town along Washington. One in the morning of along Washington at Walnut, another couple of times at Washington and Sycamore. And my concern was that I don't think that we have signage in our parks about, no camping or whatever the wording is, and then also about curfews. And I know in other cities, they have run into the problem of not being able to move the homeless along or stop them from sleeping in the parks because there is not proper signage. And so that's what I was wondering about. To see what it is that we needed to do before we had a problem that kind of got out of hand, because I know a lot of the homeless encampments have been, disabled or whatever you want to call it, and people are moving on. And so, and like the problem that's happened over in Westchester Park, and we don't want that to start happening in any of our parks. And I know I'm on the board of CASE in town, and we do not assist the homeless. We keep people, residents in their homes from becoming homeless. So that's what I was wondering about is, do we have proper signage? Is signage needed? I know that the team that you have has worked really well. Marco, had been on that for quite some time. I don't know if Marco is still part of the task force there, but I see them talking to people, and I think it's been a great program. So I just wanted to see that our parks had, proper signage if we were needing that in order to have enforcement.
Let's see. So the park hours issue, we do not need signs for it. We'll obviously just clarify that. But it's we do have a no. You can't be in the park like curfew from 10 p.m. to 1 hour before sunrise. We will definitely everything here, Washington, Walnut, Washington, Sycamore, obviously the park along Washington Park. That's something that we will definitely go increase some patrols around. If you do see anyone sleeping in the park, please call. The information is going to be here. So go ahead, call. We'll have a patrol officer go out. But once we identify that those are the issues, then we will definitely make that something to follow up on as far as those parks specifically. Do you know of one lady named Carol who was hanging out in the area of PCH and Maple and has since moved to kind of the Washington Park area? So we're kind of aware of that and contacting her. And if that's something that that's something that we need to address, that's absolutely 100%. We will deal with that. I will write that down, but if you could, just so I have your contact info, send me an email or call. My number will be, let me find it right here. Write down on my contact info, send me an email or give me a call, and just so I can make sure that we're targeting the right specific areas. As far as signage and parks, we should be good to go on that. And then let's see. Yeah, Marco, he doesn't currently work with us in the CLO program. He's back on patrol, but definitely uses that. We're always getting info from Marco about, he definitely still uses that skill set to give us information so we can follow up. So I will make sure that we follow up with anyone in Washington Walnut and Washington Sycamore in the park area. So definitely follow up on that. Let me see. Yeah, like I said, middle of the night, something you see, give our non-emergency dispatch a call. Obviously, if it's an emergency, call 911, but we'll definitely focus our efforts in that area in the very near future.
Any other questions? I'm not seeing.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Kelly, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering if you had any success stories. Is any of this working?
Yes, I do have success stories. So 3 persons just recently experiencing homelessness have gotten received permanent housing. Now our count is up to 57 individuals who are experiencing homelessness have been transported to shelters, which is a number that we're very happy with, something that we're very proud of. And there's 2 persons right now that are getting some, are in the process where they call us like opening a case up with LA County in order to get permanent housing. Just the other day, it was like my 2nd day in the unit. This guy comes to the lobby, wants to thank Officer Kushner. Basically, he's there in tears. He's on the beach and said, you know what, I'm 50 years old. I've been homeless for so long. I'm done being homeless, and you guys have helped. He has a case open with LA to give him some Section 8 housing. So there really are those success stories. And as much as we ask and get turned down, there are people who do accept help, and it's really neat to see. So yes, there are definitely success stories, and we're working very hard to create and make more success stories in the future.
Okay, I'm still looking. Anything else? Okay.
Great.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Alex.
You're welcome. Thank you, Chief, and thank you very much. Please, and I can't emphasize enough. If you have any issues, please give me a call. My number's there. That's my work number. So the weekend I'll get the calls, and come back, or send me an email. I really, really want to hear from you and be able to address the issues specifically that are all of you and that our community is facing. So really just want to emphasize on reaching out to us. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else before? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Levitt. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. Okay, back. There we go. All right. Very good presentations. We will move to public communications. And want to say anything in the time that we just had? No. We'll close public communications. Move to consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the Recreation and Parks Commission special meeting of November 17th, 2021. I think Lee had something.
Yeah, I had talked to Monte earlier, and on the 3rd page under reports of subcommittees, Aquatic Subcommittee, it stated the next meeting will be January 4th. I actually brought that up in the fact that it was not the next meeting. It was the bids for the plunge were due on the 4th, and I believe they moved it to the 12th. But there was no meeting, and it wasn't stated that way, just one change.
So are you moving approval with that then?
I would like to move for approval, given that change.
How about a second?
Second.
Okay. Monse, would you do a voice vote, please?
Commissioner Kelly Watson,
Approved.
Commissioner Julie Stonak,
Approved.
Commissioner Dave Lubes,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis,
Approved.
and Chairperson Bob Mura.
Approved. Thank you. Also on the consent calendar, extension of the teleconferencing method of public meetings in accordance with Government Code 54953, small e. There is commission action required, and that we would declaration that there's a recommendation. Declaration that local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. And that's why we have to do these. And so they're asking for approval. I move approval. Is there a second? Not hearing any seconds. Okay,
Lee Davis, I'll second.
thank you. Monse, a voice vote, please.
Can we have discussion or can we hear why we're extending?
I'm sure we can.
Thanks.
I mean, we need to, I guess we can ask that question, but we should know the answer. Go ahead.
Yes, so LA County's rules have not changed. And so for meetings indoors, you still need to be masked. So that would be your alternative. It's either virtual meetings unmasked or an in-person meeting, but everybody would need to be masked throughout that entire meeting. So one option would be, to approve it if LA County rules, change before the March meeting, then we could shift it back to the in-person within the city council chamber. But the LA County would need to make that determination prior to that meeting. Unless you want to be there with mask, but I think it would be difficult to have an entire meeting, with mask.
How long before would LA County have to approve? Like if they approve the day before, I assume there's a timing piece, but I do feel like it's imminent that we're going to do that. So I'm just wondering if that seems to be the better choice, is like we'd like to meet in person, I think.
Sure.
If at all possible. So if there's a way that we could leave that window open as long as possible.
Yes. What do you think about a week in advance of that meeting, making the decision? Only because some people do Zoom in from, not in El Segundo. So if anybody was planning to be out of town but still attend, we don't want to disrupt those plans, either commissioners or presenters. So if that would seem reasonable, that could, I guess you'd have to withdraw the motion and do a different motion with that level of detail if that's what you wanted to do.
Well, I appreciate, actually, now that I'm looking at my calendar, I'm actually going to be out of the country. So it would be good to do it virtually. But I also I know Dave is interested in coming back in person. So I did want to ask the question, what are the parameters? Sure. And Dave, did you want to say something?
No, I feel the same way. I mean, if I didn't realize that if those are the two choices, then I'm fine voting yes. I didn't know it had to be masked if we met in person, but either way, neither way is ideal.
But don't we all pretty much wear a mask at work now? I mean, in city council, when they've met, they're wearing a mask and their meetings go on for hours. Our meetings don't go on for hours because we really don't have anything to do. So no, I hear you. I'd rather meet in person,
I hear you. I like to see people's expressions. Like when there's no mask and you're in person, I don't really know what someone's really thinking. It's to see people's faces. So I mean, I'll still vote. I mean, last time I voted no, but this time I plan on voting yes, unless the county allows us to meet in person without masks. But I hear what you're saying, Julie. I mean, we could, but.
Okay, there is a motion, there was a second, but I'll change my motion that if the restrictions get lifted, it's going to have to be at least before the agenda goes out. It can't be after the agenda goes out. So that's a week and a day or approximately. So with that, I move approval right now. And there was a second already with that. Lee, you want to second it or not?
Yeah, I'll second the new motion.
Thank you. Voice vote, Monse, please.
Commissioner Kelly Watson,
Approved.
Commissioner Julie Stolnak,
Approved.
Commissioner Dave Lubes,
Approve.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis,
Approve.
and Chairperson Bob Mota.
Approved. Thank you. And yes, I definitely want to get back to in person. But we have to do what we need to do. There's no unfinished business. New business, Public Works Capital Improvement Update. Elias is going to be doing that one.
Right. Good evening, members of the commission. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So I've got a few items I would like to provide you updates on. The first one is the plunge. So at the direction of the city council, an RFP was issued on October 2021, and proposals were ended up being due on January 12th. And we had a total of 6 architectural firms that responded. These proposals were reviewed and ranked by a panel, and 4 of these firms were selected for interview. The interviews were held on February the 3rd, and the IBI group was ranked as the top firm, and we're in process of finaling the proposal from this consulting firm, and this item is scheduled on the city council forecast agenda to be before city council on March the 15th of this year. So in about 3 weeks, we plan to go to city council for their blessing, and I'll be glad to respond to any question, or I could go cover other items, but you know, it's up to the committee if you want me to stop and pause and answer questions.
Let's do it now if we can. I'm sure Lee's got something. Go ahead.
Sure.
Elias, yes, my question is IBI. Was that one of the companies that had bid in the first round? It sounds familiar.
I really wasn't here at that time. The good news is they have the same subs as we had under Methane. So under Methane, the subs with respect to the Aquatic are the same subs. But I don't know if IBI Group applied for the first round.
They did. They did. Looking at it.
They did? Yeah, okay. Yeah, they did.
Aricia, do you remember where they placed in the first round?
Quite highly.
Yes.
Did they? That's why I think I remember them. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Elias.
Sure.
Oh, one other question. What was the financial number for the build as far as they had it, or what were we looking at financially for them?
Well, we are still finalizing I guess you're asking about the fee. Am I correct?
Yes, their fee and what they're looking at for build cost.
Right. So we're still negotiating the fee, and I really cannot give you any figure because it's still is being changed. So it's really something along the lines that we had expected. And once this is final, I could either send an email or it'll be on the city council staff report. But I can call you, or I can inform you once that fee amount is set. But for right now, it's really we don't have that number, and I don't want to give a number that it may change if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Thank you for the information. Anytime you have any information regarding the plunge, I'd love to hear it. So thank you.
Sure. I might add, we really had a tough competition. Practically all the consulting firms, they did great. Aricia and Linnea were part of the panel that interviewed these, including myself, Cheryl, and Sia, who is our building official. So I think we selected a good team. I think they're gonna do fine. So the next item are the scoreboards. both of these scoreboards have been temporarily fixed and they are working. So thanks to Sean Green and Aricia, we placed the orders for the parts and we received them on last Friday, and on Saturday the crew were there and both of these scoreboards are good and working. With respect to the Bradfield scoreboard, we plan to replace that with a brand new digital scoreboard that Little League has purchased already at no cost to the city. And I believe that is going to be shipped to us toward the end of this month. And we're in process of designing a foundation that will be installing for that scoreboard. We looked at the existing foundation and the existing foundation simply did not meet the code. So we have to put a new foundation. So the plan is to put this foundation just slightly to the north of the existing scoreboard. So when the games are ongoing, we still can utilize what we've got. And then once the construction is done, we can switch over, and that's what the plan is. With respect to the status, the design for the foundation was submitted today, which is going to take us a few days to review, and following that, we'll be ready to package it and advertise it for construction. We think the estimated cost for the foundation, it's going to be about $35,000. So the scoreboard came to us at no cost. And of course, the issue regarding the advertisement is going to have to be dealt with at a later date. Any questions on the scoreboards?
I'm not seeing any. Elias, I want to thank you for pushing the scoreboard and getting them up and working for the seasons that are just starting now. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it was a teamwork, and Aricia and Sean, they really, I want to thank them both because they really helped a whole lot. Also, I learned today that the softball scoreboard is also in need of some attention. So we place the order for the parts today, and we hope that we get them early next week, and we'll be able to install those, before end of the next week, when we really would like to have the scoreboard up and running.
Elias, it's Julie. Did you say that the scoreboard for Little League came at no cost to the city? Is that because Little League paid for it, or how did that happen?
Yes, Little League, they decided to absorb the cost at no cost to the city. But later on, though, I'm sure there is going to be a discussion about advertisements and what we can do and that sort of thing. But the scoreboard came to us with no strings attached.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So with respect to the Gateway project, I believe the city manager, the previous city manager, Ramadat, he forwarded a copy of the staff report to all the members of the Gateway committee, or rather the previous committee, regarding the award of the project to Hirsch and Associates. This item went before City Council on January 18th, and we just had a pre-design meeting with them, so the design is on its way, and I'll be glad to answer any question regarding the Gateway project.
Elias, that's me again, Julie. So I had sent an email to Scott Mitnick asking questions about, since I was on the Gateway committee on behalf of the commission, when I had watched the presentation on city council meeting about moving forward with this new design firm and paying for design fees and all of that. So I sent him an email with some questions I had because I had been I had thought that the committee would be informed along the way, and we hadn't heard anything. So he did answer all of my questions, and we discussed about sending that out, the answers to my questions to the rest of the committee so everybody could be informed as to what was going on. So I'm glad that that took place because we had not been informed as to what was going on. Even though the committee had kind of disbanded, we asked city staff to take over, but there were many of us that still wanted to be included in the process and what was happening. So I'm glad I reached out, and then he was able to send all of the answers to the questions along to the rest of the committee members. And then I see that it's come down, and you did contact the organizations to pick up their signs
Right.
if they wanted them. So, you know, I had a couple of people on Facebook that were saying, oh, I thought that the design competition was going to be decided by the residents. And I answered no, that was not part of the process. It wasn't going to be residents' approval or anything like that. So I'm glad it's moving along, and that it's moving along on a smaller scale than what it was previously headed.
Right.
So thank you for that, Elias.
Sure. So if I may elaborate, if you don't mind, there are going to be 3 conceptual designs that the consulting firm is going to be submitting to the city. And with those 3 conceptual designs, we plan on going to city council and make a presentation and invite the public, including all the members of the previous committees. And I'd be glad to work with community services department to let the members of the Rec and Park Commission know. And at that time, those conceptual designs are being or will be discussed, and the city council, along with the input from the public, will decide either on one or maybe combination of maybe some elements of the other, but ultimately we'll pick up the conceptual design, which the consulting firm is going to take that information, and at the direction of the city council will develop the final drawings based on that. So there is not going to be a formal presentation of that project to the old members of the committee. Frankly, I just want to, we'll be glad to inform where we are and let you know, let everybody know when that is going to be. But the next step would be going to city council with those 3 concepts and invite public and in previous committee members and everyone else to come and weigh and discuss those concepts at that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I would like to be notified when that's going to happen.
Of course. So with respect to the Public Works Committee, there's a change of name, as you know. That decision was made by the city council, and after that, you're truly worked with the chair of the environmental committee and developed the new bylaws at the direction of the city council, and those bylaws are being worked on by the city manager's office, and that's where we are. And I'd be more than happy to respond to any question you may have. But before I do, I want to assure everyone that business is going to be as usual, that all the items that comes before or used to come before environmental committee will still gonna be treated the same form or fashion. And I personally myself, I commit myself to really do whatever that was being done before. And as a person who cares a lot for environmental, it is my commitment to make this change to be completely seamless and be able to do business as before.
Okay. Any questions for Elias? Okay, thank you, Elias. And are you done? Are you complete?
No, there's a couple of things I want to mention if you don't.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I've been meeting with Edison regarding the trees that they want us to remove and trim around their facilities, their towers or their wooden poles, and frankly, they are under a lot of pressure by their attorneys for liability reasons to exactly do that. My plan was to make them to provide us with equivalent caliper inches of trees that they want to remove. In other words, if they remove, let's say, a 16-inch diameter tree, and the caliper is measured, on the diameter of a tree a few feet above the ground, they owe us at least 8 trees of 2-inch. In other words, you multiply the number of trees by the thickness of those trees, it should really add up to the diameter of the tree that they are taking down. They really don't want to do that. They in fact, they called me today and they said that they can replace a tree for another tree. And I told them that is really not fair, because you're taking down a mature tree and you're replacing it with a small tree. That really is frankly not fair. So I'm going to continue the negotiations with them. But I just want this committee to know that I'm going to do my best, or rather this commission, to know that I'm going to do my best to get the best deal that I possibly can get out of them. One thing they backed off. They are now talking about only removing one tree, which is in the close proximity of their tower. Initially, they were going to take out tens of trees. The good news is, because of the reaction they got from the city manager's office and us, they have now backed off, and the number of trees that they're going to be removed, according to what they told me today, is only one tree, which is by itself, it's really a good progress. But I just want the commissioners to know that you're truly is going to try to do it the best possible job and get them to replace and bring as many trees as possible. The other thing I like to inform the commissioners, there has been some issue with the heater, as you know, and I'm pleased to inform you that today we got the call. We finally received the parts, so the parts have come in. So we intend to install the parts as quickly as possible. The existing heater is working at a 75% capacity. But once we fix it, it'll come up to 100% capacity. My long-range plan is to really replace those heaters and maybe provide a bigger heater. And to that end, I'm working with a mechanical engineer who's looking at that and analyzing that. But I really want to get this under control, so we don't have to go through the hassle of having to deal with heaters and the way they break up. So that's my long-range plan to fix this problem. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. End of my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Lee, I see your hand up. Please.
Yeah, real quick, Elias, when you were talking about the heaters, I assume you're talking about the Aquatic Center heaters?
Correct.
Perfect. And was there a problem with them? Because I was under the impression that the heaters for the main pool, the competitive pool, were fine, and the small pool was just undersized because we added the extra water and that wasn't changed when the extra water was added. Or is that not correct?
No, that is correct. The issue is, frankly, the heaters, they are really overworked, and the problem has to do with the fact that they are really trying to warm up the water, particularly when the night before the weather is cold. So that's really the issue now. So we're trying to work with our colleagues to make sure we do all the precautions, which is covering the pool and doing whatever we can. And I know they really are doing their best. But I happen to think that one of the reasons that those heaters are having a hard time to keep the water warm, it exactly has to do with what you said. The fact that the volume of water was added during construction, but the size of the heater was not adjusted. And to that end, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, that was only for the small pool. The water architect, the aquatic architect actually, had the full size of that pool. And matter of fact, it was supposed to be 7 feet. I mean, it was supposed to be 8 feet, I believe, and it turned out to be 7,
right,
or 6. So there should have actually been less water in there to heat, but we're still saying now, I had heard earlier when they emptied the pool that there was some scaling, and the scaling was the issue. It wasn't the scaling, it's actually the size of the heaters is undersized to actually perform its duties during the coldest of winter.
Exactly. The
thank you.
Nights is really is a kicker, truly. And we're, thanks to the community, the department, the community services department, they're doing their best to cover them as much as we can. That's really the reason. So my long-term solution is try to see if we can get bigger heaters.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Elias. I appreciate that clarification. It was a lot of people have been calling me on that, and I'm disappointed to hear that we didn't plan it right in the actual, building of the pool. It's very disappointing to hear that. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, Elias, are you completed?
Yes, sir.
I had something for Elias.
Hang on a second, Julie. Elias?
Yes, sir.
Oh, you are. Okay.
I
Julie,
am.
Okay. Are you are complete?
Yeah,
okay.
My report is done. Yes, sir. My report is done, and I'll be glad to answer any more questions.
Right. We do have Julie who does have a question.
Sure.
A couple things here, and I'm not sure if they're all for you, Elias, or some pertain to Christopher. I'm not really sure, but I'll ask them. First of all, I wanted to thank you for your quick action on graffiti removal at Kansas Holly Park a couple of weeks ago. Your crew was on that right after I sent that email that morning. So I want to thank you for the quick action on that. And then also there was a abandonment of some puppies in the dog park a couple of weeks ago, and the police department had posted that. I think it was 6 puppies that were abandoned in a crate. And people were asking about, cameras and things at the dog park. And, there have been, people have been, attacked by dogs in the park, and the camera thing has come up in the past. And I'm just wondering if that is something that is doable or needed at our dog park to see what goes on. So I have that question for you. And then also as at the golf course, not the part that is Top Golf, but our golf course. And they're nearing completion and getting ready for, coming back online. But I still notice so many dead trees or trees hanging over the fence that are broken and have been that way for years. And I'm wondering if along PCH there, if they are going to be cleaning up those trees and removing a couple of trees that have been dead for a while, or if we're going to just run with what we have now and cleaning up the fence on the sidewalk side with some landscaping and stuff. And I don't know if that's part of the project or not, or if the city's going to do that. But I do think, that we're going to have a great new facility there and golf course and everything. But let's clean up the trees that run along Pacific Coast Highway there so that we don't have all these dead branches that have fallen over the side that are still not like completely separated from the tree. And there are a couple of dead trees. So I'm just wondering about that. And if that falls under you, if it falls under the council, or if it falls under Christopher.
No, I'll take the lead on that. I've been working very closely with our finance director, which is now he is the interim city manager, with Mr. Joe Lilio regarding Top Golf. As you know, Top Golf, we have leased that area, so it's like they are the owners, but we have very good relationship with them. So to that end, I'll be more than happy to take the lead and get the point across. One thing I do know, though, is that Edison not only came hard on us, on our beautiful parks, and the fact that some trees were close to their facilities and to their transmission lines, they also contacted us regarding the Top Golf. I don't know if you knew that or not. So part of what I've been doing is I've been working as the liaison between Top Golf and Southern California Edison to get them comfortable with that, because they have an easement over Top Golf. I don't know if you knew that. So there's an area that they are in full control, and you know, sometimes it's been frustrating, but luckily we got that under control, and we had to do something because those licenses were up for renewal, and not only the licenses for the parks, but also the license that would allow the Top Golf to operate. So they've been working with them, and partially maybe the reason you don't see much of activity is because they're still coordinating the work with Edison regarding trees. I don't believe that they have their landscaping fully done yet. I think it's going to look a lot more pretty, I think, than what it looks. I wasn't here when this project was negotiated, but I'd be glad to talk to Top Golf about this, and I will respond to that. With respect to your first question, I defer this to Melissa, but I give you my input. It's really, really difficult, if not impossible, to really put a camera up and having to deal with the request from public about wanting the footage of the camera, because if we put the camera out there, then we're responsible to maintain it and provide anyone who requests a copy of the footage for a particular day. You run into issues about people who may not want to be photographed or videoed. Not to mention the fact that someone needs to really be there to maintain that, and oftentimes these cameras get damaged and so forth. So and frankly, if someone is gonna do a crime, I'm not sure if that would be a deterrent to avoid the crime. Having said that, I defer this to Melissa for her input.
Thank you, Elias. I tend to agree with your assessment, but I appreciate the suggestion, Julie, and I would like to have some additional conversations with staff and talk about it as a possibility, and then follow up with you at a later date, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, and my thought on the camera, I mean, I don't know if that's the answer, and it wasn't, to have constant puppy watch or somebody there, monitoring the cameras, but when something does happen, you're able to go back and look at that footage. And it's not like we have a lot of stuff going on, but the question had been asked of me about why do we not have cameras at the dog park. With those 6 puppies being left there, I think they were left during the night, and then the police department came and picked them up and took them. I don't know what's happened with them, but having the abandonment issues. And then I know there have been some people that have been bitten or attacked by different, by dogs. So I just wanted to ask that question. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Real quick, if I could.
Go ahead, Lee.
Elias, you were talking about Topgolf and a couple of things. I watched the council meeting last night, and I know that they approved the golf course to not have a par 4 on it, which is fine. I've heard about 3 different designs in the last 18 months. Have they settled on any one of them? I believe the last one I heard was a 10-hole course, or is that still in the works? Because it looks like the course is pretty much done to me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I heard the same thing. I really do not have any more information than you do, because that's really something that I never was involved. I got involvement with Edison because of the fact that Edison was trying to do the same thing to our parks. But I believe you're right, because that's what I heard also. But if you want me to, I'd be more than happy to check with Joe Lilio and get the word back to you.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. And the other thing that they mentioned last night, that they were really excited about some of the youth programming, which I was extremely happy to hear. You know, we've had a course in town for well over 50 years, and we've yet to get a golf team for El Segundo High School. So I think youth programming is a key, especially for the El Segundo residents, to see to that we do promote golf and we do get golfers out on the course and we do have a team. So perhaps in the next meeting, we could get Topgolf to kind of share their ideas on the course and on their programming. I know that it goes through Joe because the golf course is now part of the finance department, but that would be that'd be very interesting and informational, I think, for the public and us as well.
We can certainly invite Topgolf to make a presentation. It sounded at the city council meeting that they are very interested in engaging with the community. So hopefully they will say yes. I just wanted to also mention, my understanding is that it is the 10 holes rather than the 9. They talked about the back 5 and front 5, how that is a unique situation, all par 3. I did want to mention, though, also the other piece of news that was good on that night was they added a price index escalator. So instead of just the $200,000 community benefit every 5 years, it's going to go up 10% throughout the life of the lease. So that's also good news that came out that night. So, but we will definitely invite Topgolf to be here for the March meeting. Thank you for that suggestion as well.
Okay, I'm looking around the room. There we go.
If I may add, let's assume the 10 hole is it. If you don't hear back from me, if it is different, I will get back with you guys.
Thank you, Elias. I knew a couple of people had taken a kind of overview of it, and they had counted 10 holes, so I was pretty sure that par 4 had been.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But if it is different, I make sure I get back with the.
And it makes sense because the par 4 was right along PCH, played parallel, and it was a liability. So perfect. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Elias. But there's a recommendation on his report. It's a receive and file. So we're going to need a motion to receive and file his report. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we file. Sorry.
Second.
Want to say a voice vote, please?
Commissioner Kelly Watson,
Approve.
Commissioner Julie Stolnag,
Approve.
Commissioner Dave Lutz,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lee Davis,
Approve.
and Chairperson Bob Moda.
Yes. Thank you. Elias, thank you very much.
Sure.
We will now go to reports. Reports of subcommittees. Was there an aquatic subcommittee meeting?
There was not.
Thank you. Looking around. Okay. Transportation subcommittee. Kelly,
There was no meeting.
thank you. Youth Sports Council. Dave.
Yes, we had a meeting, talked about the fall season and just recapped kind of how it went with the field allocation, talked about the upcoming season and a couple of items, and went well.
Thank you. Okay. That went well. Staff reports, Ericia, Recreation Superintendent. You're up.
Good evening, Commissioners. Just wanted to remind everyone that the Star Party is March 25th at Hilltop Park from 8 to 10 on the corner of Grand and Maryland. So hope to see you out there to enjoy looking at the sky with us. I have some outstanding questions, so I wanted to make sure I addressed those tonight. I know, Lee, you had some interest in the success criteria, and the first time that the groups over at the swim center handed in a success criteria. So this is all new for us. Linnea and I are still going through a lot of the information, but they were all due on January 25th. We received some valuable information, but if you're looking for residency numbers, some of them are rather low, still between the 10 and 19 percentile of as far as El Segundo residency. And then we had two. One was in the, the 20th to 39 percentile range, and the last one was pretty high up there where they had mostly El Segundo residency. I do want to say there was various attention to detail from the different groups. Some were very detailed and others were not. So Linnea had to go back. I requested that she go back and ask for additional information. There are some things with the tool that we developed. I know, Kelly, you sat in on those meetings as well as Lee. I can see now going through the tool that we're using for success criteria, there are some things that we probably should add, like we do not ask for a total number of participants in your program. So they're giving us percentages, but I don't have a number to look at. So we need to correct that. So I will be correcting that for the second report. And also, we don't ask for rosters. So I want to make sure that rosters are attached. We didn't ask for that this year. So Linnea and I didn't have that information to look at. And we did not ask for a mandatory number of surveys returned. So from some groups, we got like 10 surveys, and that didn't have a lot of information. So we had to go back and ask them to get participants to turn in extra surveys. So we're still really going through that information and still collecting. I think the second time around that we collect the success criteria, it will be better, and we'll have more data to look at and compare to the first one. This being the first one, since we had COVID hit, we really couldn't compare a lot of their activity and look at it and make a valuable judgment on how they were doing in the facility. I will report out, though, that there is one group that we will probably want to meet with, just judging from the survey returns. We will want to meet. So do you have any further questions? I know I'm hoping that I'm answering what you were asking.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. The total number is really going to give us a baseline. I mean, I think we really know the numbers in the last 5-10 years, at least I do, on the total number of, swimmers that we had at the plunge. And I would certainly hope that we have at least as many, if not more.
Correct.
And that would be a very, very big number for us to really analyze and make sure that we're doing our job to get the people into the pool and swimming. So I think you're on the right track there. And like I say, I look forward to seeing the numbers and the analysis on it. Just to move forward to your report, I noticed that you had a swim meet from Blast swim team. They did a meet in January.
Yes.
I'm only familiar with it because they show up at some of the other meets. They're not one of our people that actually rent space in the pool other than this meet, are they?
No, they're not. If we have, I know Linnea will allow people to come in and rent the pool if we have space during that time. It's not something that we usually practice. You're speaking of an outside group, correct?
Yeah, they're an outside group, and my only concern is that I know a lot of the people that rent time in the pool don't think that we have enough weekends, with the 6 that we're contracted for, to actually get them taken care of, much less have another one. And as I looked at that meet on Meet Mobile, a lot of the kids from our local teams were at other meets. So we weren't really servicing, you know, the people in the general community, and just a thought for future reference.
Okay. I'll speak with Linnea and review that practice.
Yeah, I'm just, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And then Kelly, you did ask about, as far as numbers from girls to boys that visit the teen center. And we found that in January, it was actually pretty even. We had 1,123 girls visit and 1,197 boys visit. So January was pretty even. We're looking forward to seeing what February brings us. As far as other facilities like the clubhouse and the senior center, I'm going to have to bring back statistics for the senior center in February, if you don't mind, because we didn't really do a good collection. But we did do a collection for the clubhouse as far as how much it's rented or space is taken during that time at the clubhouse. And I did add it to the report so you could see that the clubhouse is used regularly as well. So I'll be interested to give you the seniors and see how they're visiting back at the Jocelyn. I know at one time before COVID, the Jocelyn Center was very busy, probably not as busy as much at this point, but we can definitely see what the attendance is like right now. And I'll be able to bring that back to you in March.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions? You have my report. I'm sorry, I forgot about my report.
Okay, I see two. Julie, go ahead, and then Kelly.
Eris, yeah, I just had a question on the meal program, Meals on Wheels. Has that gone back to the volunteers yet, or is it still city staff making those deliveries? And the reason I'm asking is, I know Meals on Wheels volunteers, when they go out, are able to kind of be some eyes on the community for some of these seniors that may be struggling. And I had a call last night from a community member concerned about a senior in town. And so I did some looking into it and found that the senior is struggling. And then I told this community member to call the police department for a check the welfare. But I was just wondering if we were back to the volunteers with Meals on Wheels, because I know that, you know, in the past, they have caught some of those people that are falling through the cracks. And so I was just wondering, getting an update on that. And I think there are a lot of seniors, you know, struggling with loneliness and all of this during COVID. And so I don't know if city staff now is just a quick drop of the meal, or if people are still keeping an eye on them.
We are still having city staff deliver the meals. We haven't returned to volunteers yet, although we are discussing that. Ryan and I are actually having that discussion with having volunteers return, but we are still right now working with city staff. So I would say probably closer to the springtime, you'll probably see volunteer staff start to come out with city staff still involved, delivering meals.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, did you have something?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was noticing the lift stats, which look really cool. Hoping to get just a little color commentary on how that's been, you know, utilized as a program. And then also I noticed I got a message from Metro Micro that they extended their hours, which is great news because that's exactly what we wanted. And I've been seeing a lot of comments on social media as people are discovering Metro Micro and are using it. So just wondered if you had feedback on that program as well.
Not as much on Metro Micro yet, but I will definitely be looking at them now. But I've been focused more on Lyft because I wanted to see how the program is growing. And it seems to have shifted from the concierge over to people doing their own Lyft pickup. I think they were a little hesitant at first, but now they see how easy it is. And I see the numbers going up every month. So we're really happy about that. It's usually the short trips that they're going to the grocery store, the doctor, and stuff like that. But we're just trying to keep our eye on the numbers, and hopefully the program definitely grows. I think Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, you will speak about the RFP that went out for transportation that posted on February 7th. So
feel free to cover it. Yeah, it is good news. So
we were able to post the transportation RFP. Hopefully someone's interested in providing services, so we can go back to some of the regular services that we used to provide with our transportation and our shuttle service. But I don't, I'm sorry, offhand know when the RFP closes. Do you remember that at all?
So it is RFP for on-demand services, a more permanent solution after the pilot program. I believe that it's due at the end of February.
Yes.
But I can double check during Christopher's report and confirm. Yes.
So we're excited about that to see what responses we have, and maybe we'll be able to provide more services for the entire community, and especially our senior community.
Of course, I had another comment. So I have spoken to several senior women in town, you know, talking about the LIFT program and to provide transportation for them, because I knew the Metro Micro was not going to work for them to be able to walk to a bus stop and all of that. And so they were excited about the LIFT program, but they didn't completely understand it. They thought it was still going to be like a city person that was picking them up. And as soon as they found out that it was a stranger, you know, and all three of these women are like in their 90s, they were like, oh, I'm not gonna be comfortable getting in a stranger's car, you know? So, and they don't have transportation at this time. So I know that is a concern of some senior women, you know, getting in a strange man's car that would pull up to their house. They also have, you know, the problem of not having the app on the phone because they can't use the smartphone to begin with, you know, so they could use the concierge service. And I used the Micro Mini, or the Metro Micro, I keep getting the name mixed up. And I had a knee scooter because I had surgery, and I picked it up at Grand and PCH, and it worked out really well. The guy stopped in traffic and came around and loaded up the knee scooter for me. And actually he dropped me 2 blocks closer to my home because it was on the route, and I asked him to drop me closer instead of at the stop, and it worked out really well. And then I was one that came back and posted on Facebook about people riding it, and I talked to him about it, and he said a lot of the kids are riding it from school, like at the middle school when they live on the west side of town. They're ordering it and they're picking it up there at Grand and Center Street. And he said, I transport kids every day, and also a lot of kids that live in Westchester. So he is making several stops over there. So he said it really increased the ridership with the teen population.
Nice.
So I think it's working out well. And I think, yeah, it is catching on a little bit. And let's see if maybe it gets busier over the summer. But he said that they were going to be adding some new vehicles, like some little bit bigger ones.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's really good information. So Kelly, there you are. There's your
That's great. And I wanted to provide an update that I was able to successfully take Metro Micro to the airport, but it stops just on Sepulveda, just past it. So it's like right where the lot is. So it's a tiny walk, but for folks who don't want to walk through the tunnel, because you can't walk through the tunnel, and want to get close, you know, that it's almost to where the Lyft and the Uber are at the airport anyway, because now you have to walk all the way down there to get your Uber or Lyft. So you may as well get the Metro Micro at the stop across this. You just cross Sepulveda to where Century is. So yeah, and people use that all the time. Is what the driver told me, that yes, this is our secret way to get to the airport because it doesn't technically drive into the airport.
Yeah, he told me as well that the pilots and the flight attendants are using it like crazy.
Okay, Melissa, I see your hand up.
I did just want to clarify about the RFP. So proposals are due on March 7th, and the city will review those proposals and do interviews in March. The timeline is to select the consultant in April, present to council in May, and hopefully have the service, in place by the new fiscal year in July. So that is the timeline for that piece.
Okay, thank you. Erisea, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
We will move to Christopher, Parks Maintenance Superintendent. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Good evening, Commission. You have my report, and any updates I had have already been updated earlier by Elias. So I'll just open it up for questions or comments.
Go ahead, Julie. I see your hand up.
So with city trees that are on our residential properties, and I know that you're not supposed to, the residents are not supposed to trim the city trees, but we have a lot of new people moving into town, a lot of home sales, and I don't know if everybody knows that. And there's a particular tree in question on 1200 block of East Walnut that I know the city hasn't trimmed it because it is trimmed down to absolute stubs. And so I don't know if how the city notifies people of that, whether there could be something in the Herald or something like that, but I know the city didn't trim this one. And I mean, there's literally like maybe 7 leaves left on the entire tree. And it's just chopped off. It's just in chunks that it's been taken down. And I'm surprised maybe the tree will not survive because I know you're not supposed to trim like more than 25% at a time.
Right.
And this was probably 75% of the tree.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, we don't really have a program or notification type thing. We do get lots of calls to trim city trees from folks. Because they don't.
On the other hand, a lot of people don't know to call the city to get their tree trimmed, to get on the list for tree trimming. So I don't know if something, there could be some type of notice about that, letting people know that you should, leave the parkway trees, or some of the trees fall in people's front yards. So they assume that they're their tree instead of being in the parkway. Like mine is in the parkway. I know it's a city tree. Some people have it in their front yard in the lawn and may not know that it's a city tree. Correct.
Well, we'll look at that and see what we can come up with.
Okay. Christopher, great job on the parks. Thank you for you and your staff.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to director reports. Melissa.
Sure, so you do have my written report, but I did want to highlight one more time the great work of Linnea and Joe and their team at the Aquatic Center for their really incredible results during 2021, including collecting over almost $1 million in revenue during that past year. They're off to a very strong start in 2022 as well. So great job to all of them. I also wanted to recognize Rachel and her team for a really fun Tiny Tots Valentine's Day party earlier this week. It went really well. Hopefully you saw the list of upcoming events in the written report. I wanted to bring to your attention a community art exhibit with its small format art that just went up at the library. Hopefully you can stop by and see that. We also have the Living Library in partnership with ESMOA coming up. I believe it's on March 12th, where you can actually check out a person for a one-on-one conversation as a way to kind of learn more about other people's experiences. So it's a really neat program. I encourage you to check that one out also. I'm also very happy to report that Community Services is partnering with the El Segundo Fire Department for a new camp. It's called Fired Up Girls Empowerment Camp. And it's an effort to introduce youth from 12 to 19 girls to firefighting. I wanted to recognize Aracia. Fired Up is actually her name. It's a very creative name for the camp, so that was great. And then definitely the new fire chief also, Dina Lee, who has brought this concept to El Segundo. So it's really, really exciting. It's going to take place on March 26th and March 27th. Residents will have an opportunity to sign up for the free camp beginning on March 1st. So we expect the spots are going to go pretty fast. So please let all of the teams that you know in El Segundo between 12 and 19 about the opportunity. And of course, we'll be promoting it as well. And I also needed to share some other news with you tonight. I have accepted a new position with the city of Manhattan Beach. It is the town that I've lived in for the last 22 years. So my last day in El Segundo is going to be on March 1st, and there should be an interim community services director in place by the time that I leave. But I definitely wanted to thank all of you. I've absolutely loved working in El Segundo for the community, with the community, including all of you. You've been absolutely fabulous. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity. Also want to just take a moment to really sincerely thank the entire community service and public works teams. I'm very proud and thankful that together we really have made some progress on a variety of initiatives during really challenging times. So it has definitely been a team effort, and appreciate everyone. I'm not going far, so I will definitely be cheering all of you on and wishing you the very best. I think it's a really interesting time for the city, moving into the strategic planning, moving into the 2-year budget cycle, with the new city manager recruitment. And I think it's a great time to kind of refocus on the city's priorities, make sure the resources match the expectations, and we're moving in the right direction all together. So thank you to all of you. I really appreciate it. And I think that is it for me, unless anybody has any questions.
Anyone? Okay. Melissa, thank you. Thank you for your time. Good luck. And I know you're going to do great. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Elias, you are up for your report, or do you have more?
I don't have anything else other than wishing Melissa the best for this limited time that I had the pleasure of working with her. She was great. She had some responsibilities that were added to her plate, and her and I worked very good together. And I'm very grateful to you, Melissa, for all your help, your support, your kindness, and we'll miss you greatly. And I want to wish you the best.
Thank you so much, Elias. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Elias. And commissioner comments, Commissioner Watson.
Yeah, I want to echo what Elias said. This was a surprise today, Melissa, and we are going to miss you. You've done just such a phenomenal job. And yeah, so I'm surprised and shocked, but you know, it's Manhattan Beach's gain and our loss. So it's been great working with you, and I wish you the best. I wish you all the best. As I know you're going to do great over there. I also wanted to congratulate Aracia. The Rexstar Academy is such a great idea, and to see it come to fruition with you and Rachel's help, I just think that, you know, offering a career path and offering development is so important to these young people, and what a fabulous idea. And I actually think, and I think this was why the question was asked, but the fact that it's voluntary is really important, because I think you'll get the engagement that you need for people to stick with it. And yeah, just a fabulous job. So great stuff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Commissioner Stolnak, Julie.
I don't really have much to say because I've commented on just about absolutely every little thing tonight, but I do want to wish Melissa the best in her new adventure. And yes, it is going to be Manhattan's gain and our loss. And I always appreciate your timely responses to my emails and to any questions I have. And we're going to miss you, Melissa. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Commissioner Lubes, Dave.
I'll just echo the same. Congratulations, Melissa. Thank you for your service to the city. It's been a great pleasure to work with, and I'm really excited for your next gig. So congratulations and thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Chairperson Davis. Lee.
Melissa, you've heard it from everyone and me as well. I know that you were taken from the library and thrown into Public Works and Parks and Rec and just about everything. And you were absolutely a consummate professional. You did an excellent job above and beyond what I think most people would. I know you stayed up late nights trying to figure out exactly what it was that needed to be done and how to try to get it done. And then having to ask people, you know, above you and below you to see how it's best to do it. And you did it with flying colors. I will truly miss you. And I know that Manhattan Beach will be truly grateful to have you there. It's going to be tough to replace you. And thank you for your time. With that, the other thank you is to Chief Bermudez and Sergeant Levitt. I've worked throughout my career in Venice, Santa Monica, Marina del Rey. I've seen homeless for over 40 years. What El Segundo is able to do, given the fact that Westchester just disbanded one of their largest encampments in LA, everything else, they do a phenomenal job, and I can't thank them enough for the presentation and the job they do each and every day out there. So that's what I have, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lee. Melissa, I already talked to you, and you know I'm going to miss you. So it was always great to get that call the day before a meeting or the day of the meeting, just to go over it, and you explaining what needed to be done and giving me little notes. It was always great. Sometimes I forgot them, but thank you. And we, the city, we're all going to miss you. And with that, we'll adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, March 16th at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Good night, everyone.